Good evening to you. Time now for business. President of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Yao Edujemfi, says he is confident the recently signed MOU between the AGI and its Nigerian counterpart will go a long way to firm up competition among industries within the sub-region. Currently, Nigeria does not permit importation of some goods from the West African sub-region. In an interview at a ceremony to commemorate this year's Africa Industrialization Day in Accra, Dr. Edujemfi expressed the hope that the Memorandum of Understanding will help liberalize trade relations between Ghana and Nigeria.
President of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Yao Edujemfi, believes the 29th Africa Industrialization Day must challenge players in various value chains of industry to be highly competitive in the West African market. Nigeria prohibits the importation of some goods from Ghana and other African countries, but Dr. Yao Edujemfi tells Joy Business a new memorandum of understanding with Nigeria will help address the development.
In a way, our brothers and sisters in Nigeria have been able to do much of that because of their size and numbers. When it comes with us, we have similar issues that we can address. On this note, we, Association of Ghana Industries, have even signed memorandum of understanding with Nigeria. What we're trying to do is that they should open up their market to us so that what they call their prohibiting list, rather because we are part of ECOWAS and they are also here trading, we'll be allowed to move.
Meanwhile, a representative of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, Fakhruddin Azizi, says development partners like the UN are now shifting focus on exploring investment opportunities in Ghana's industrial sector.
We, as UNIDO, a specialized agency of United Nations, we see industrialization as a key priority for middle-income countries, especially for the country like Ghana, which is low middle-income country. And it's really not easy for a low middle-income country to qualify to next stage if they don't add us industrialization. And in terms of industrialization, yes, the government has their own programs like One District, One Factory, and a lot of competitiveness program. And we, a specialized agency, we are working with the Ministry of Trade and Ghana Standard Authority. We adapted, revised, and developed around 80 quality standards so that we qualify private sector companies to get ready for competitiveness.
The Africa Industrialization Day is a day set aside by the United Nations General Assembly to raise awareness on industrialization challenges facing the continent and to mobilize African leaders and international organizations to create partnerships for accelerated and sustainable industrialization of Africa.
Meanwhile, this year's Africa Industrialization Day is focusing on the pharmaceutical industry, even though the industry is expected to reach $1 billion in value by the end of the year. In Ghana, 70% of pharmaceutical products used in the country is still being imported. Speaking to Joy Business, Managing Director of Entrance Pharmaceutical, a subsidiary of Tobinco Pharmacy, Koyasari Trebo, called for incentives for the printing industry to build the capacity to take up printing of pharmaceutical materials. Ojilian Tiamwa has more.
It's a 20.8 billion industry, has the potential to move from some 45 to 60 billion. I'm talking about the pharmaceutical industry. In Ghana alone, we import about 70% of our medicines, with just 30% locally produced. But guess what? Even the local production virtually has all the active ingredients also imported. So on Africa's Industrialization Day, we're asking the question of policy. We're asking issues relating to exactly how can we make medicines like these reach, well, the people who need it most, and not just reaching them, but reaching them on time to achieve Agenda 2030. At Entrance Pharmaceutical, 93 drugs are produced here. 49 of these drugs were banned on the importation market to create an enabling environment for local industries by government. But the benefits of the ban is yet to kick in, as most of the foreign companies importing the drugs will have their licenses revoked by 2020.
For now, we've not seen the impact because most of them have their medicine registered, and until the expiry of the registration, they can't import again. Some of them importers are contacting us to do contract manufacturing from them. So we are still talking. And I'm sure by 2020, most of their licenses will expire, and then they have to take from the local market.
Ghana has 38 pharmaceutical industries, the second largest in the West African sub-region, with Nigeria leading the pack with over 130 companies. It's expected that this will contribute tremendously to the value chain. However, the numbers are not transforming the local economy. Rather, foreign companies are still benefiting from importation. The 30% production done locally has all of its active ingredients still imported, including packaging materials and honey.
For the active pharmaceutical ingredient, it's 100% imported. For packaging material, we say about 80% is imported. Because looking at the packaging material printing in Ghana is very expensive, and therefore will not give you a competitive advantage. That is in terms of the paper industry.
One of the biggest challenges in the pharmaceutical industry is access to investment. While many banks concentrate on short-term borrowing to institutions, this industry will need long-term financing with minimal interest. The Ghana Exim Bank provides exactly that. The interest is 8% and a 2-year respite for the companies to really stand on their feet before repayment.
There are some key things the government can do to fast-track it. Some of them he has started by giving us loans to the Exim Bank to boost industry, to keep financing at a lower cost. That will enable us to put up more industries. In Ghana, we are not doing a lot of sterile production. That's a key area that we need to look at, because almost all injectables, about 80% of injectables and infusions are all imported.
Away from that, Deputy Minister of Aviation Kwabena Ochiridakon is giving assurances that the nation would have a new home-based carrier by the second quarter of next year. His comments follow announcements by the Minister of Finance that the government had given regulatory approval for the establishment of the home-based carrier. Here's a report on how the new airline will be set up.
According to the Deputy Minister, the initial plan was to get the airline set up by close of this year. Some investors that were in line to partner government included Ethiopian Air, Air Mauritius and indigenous carrier Africa World Airline. But speaking to Joy Business, the Deputy Minister explained that they are currently in talks with about 11 investors to establish the national carrier.
We changed our policy on the way we wanted to set it up. I mean, we actually increase the scope of our initial operation from just domestic and regional to international first year. So that meant that we needed to get back to the table, speak to our original investors, and then widen the scope for more people to come in. That's why we held our stakeholders conference at Ibis, and it was very successful. So far, we've had more than 11 people or companies expressing interest to partner government to set up the home-based carrier. We are putting final touches to the discussions that we held for the stakeholders conference. And we know that anytime we say we are ready, some of our partners say they are also ready. So we are in good hands. We believe that next year, maximum second quarter, we should see Ghanaian airplanes flying.
The Deputy Minister further named some of the new investors coming on board.
Yes, we've had people like Mauritius come in. We had people like Court Aviation South Africa. We've had people like Ethiopian Airlines and others who have seriously expressed interest to be part of this project.
And we see GOIL, we see Glyco Insurance and some others. Teachers Fund, is that all part of it?
Yes, they are all part of it. They are all people who have been speaking to us to get into the project, yes. But like we said, we want to set it up this year and announce our final list for Ghanaians to know what we are doing.
Okay, so how many aircraft are we likely to start with next year?
Our total number of airlines we are looking at is about 10, but we want to start with minimum about 4.
The desire to establish a new home-based carrier has been key on the ministry's agenda ever since the collapse of Ghana Airways and its successor, Ghana International Airlines, in 2010.
And that's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Have a good evening.